I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to be trying to share my screen shortly as we go through some of the honors information stuff. So hopefully that will work as well. So just have to kind of bear with me, try not to fumble around too much. Um, yeah, so I'm Dr. Scott Greer, the honors coordinator for the psychology program, and wanted to kind of hold just a kind of information meeting session about the honors degree in psychology and answer as many questions as I can, give some information. I've invited some faculty to join us in just a little bit after I kind of give a little introduction and overview of the honors degree. They can kind of speak, talk about their experiences. I've also invited some current honors students and some of the PsyD students also afterwards to join us and talk about their experiences, kind of going through honors programs and doing honors research. So hopefully all this will be informative and will give people a little bit of sense of where they need to be and what they need to be thinking about. So yeah, so far so good, right? Everyone's seeing and hearing me. Okay, so I'm going to try sharing my screen, and I'm going to go to this one, and we're going to take a look at just kind of the basic overview of the honors degree in psychology. Now, for those who don't know, if you're kind of coming in and don't really have much of a sense about what an honors degree in any discipline is, or in psychology, an honors degree is something you do at the very end of your undergraduate degree. Most of the time, I think it's generally preferable to try to incorporate it within your degree. Some people will graduate and then come back and do what's called an honors conversion, where they just simply do the work on honors, work on their honors research and their honors degree. That's also possible. But I'm going to take you through the process of about it as part of your degree, and kind of looking at it from that perspective. So in that scenario, you would graduate with either a BA or a BSc in an honors BA or BSc in psychology. So one question that I've had, and a number of faculty that I've talked to have had, is that students who are interested in applying to the honors program because we now have a PsyD program and they want to get into that. And I just wanted to clarify that there is no connection between these two programs. They're completely separate. So the honors degree is not some kind of feeder or stepping stone into the PsyD program. It's not going to help you. It's not going to hurt you. There's right? But there is no real connection there. So and I'll just kind of go through this, and maybe we'll just, it's not very long. So if you have at the end, I'll stop and answer questions about kind of the basic format that I've got here. That's basically the connection, or the lack of connection there. The thesis is essentially, for the most part, a research project that's written in APA style. It's supervised by a full-time faculty member. It can be either quantitative or qualitative. Some of the work that I do, for instance, is more historical theoretical in nature, so you could do something sort of like that. And every once in a while, someone might do an in-depth critique or something like that about theory of practice in psychology. There's really quite a variety of things that you can do. I think the main part is that it does constitute some form of research, and it would be more than just simply like a big term paper or something like that. Just a general idea. The honors thesis at the end, when you finish, it is defended in front of a committee. There is an oral defense. The committee consists of your supervisor, plus two other faculty members. One is usually external, that is someone from another department. Or there may be someone a professional from the community in some cases, if someone has expertise particular area that's relevant to the thesis, they can come in and be part of that committee. At the end of the defense, the committee then decides on your grade for the thesis, and that pretty much wraps up, right, the honors thesis. There are 3 entry points into the program. That is times where you could complete an honors application and apply. Beginning of May, beginning of September, essentially the fall term, or beginning of the winter term, January 4th. The honors program is not just for students thinking about graduate school, although it sometimes looks that way. I would say well over 90% of the students in the program are looking at going to graduate school of some type. But because it is necessary, an honors degree is necessary for certainly for a graduate program in psychology, and many non-psychology programs as well would look at or would require an honors degree. It would really depend. I mean, this is definitely a question that I get a lot, and it depends on what kind of program you want to apply to as to whether or not they would require an honors degree. So that's something that you'd have to really look at the specifics there of. But certainly anything in psychology, I would say vast majority of the times, yes, you will need an honors degree. So let me just kind of give you an overview also of kind of the process of thinking about it. I think these things require planning, right? I think to incorporate an honors degree or an honors thesis into your undergraduate degree, it does require some planning because it is an extra commitment. There's more time and so forth. So that is something that you can sit down and talk about with your advisor, your program advisor. But around the 3rd year is certainly that if you're going to be doing it, I wouldn't put it off past that. 2nd year is even okay to be thinking about it. But as far as actually putting down some concrete sorts of plans and thinking about getting in touch with a supervisor, thinking about possible projects and that sort of thing. The 1st year, you will be thinking about, is this something I really want to do? What do I want to do after graduation? Those kinds of questions. You can discuss this with your academic advisor. In the 2nd term of your 3rd year, this is when I would start thinking about, maybe reaching out to a faculty member who maybe you've had a course with, maybe you have just seen some of the research they do, are interested in that particular area, depending on, because all the faculty have different sort of research areas, some are developmental, some are social, so forth. So yeah, reaching out to someone like that and maybe sending them an email and asking about their research, and are they accepting honors students for the following year, that you have interest, maybe share some of your interest. That sort of point of contact would be in your 3rd year, getting into the 2nd part of your 3rd year time to be thinking about that. Now, the real kind of, I guess, the central point as far as getting into the honors program really is up to having a full-time faculty member agree to supervise you, right? So you would have to reach an agreement with a professor about an honors project, doing some honors research, have that discussion. They would go through the honors application with you, kind of help you fill that out. You would fill it out, but there would be a discussion about how you would fill that out. And then apply to the honors program either in the summer, May 1st, or the fall, as I mentioned. I'll get to the point about the January entry point in just a moment, but I think in the idealized version, you would be starting in the summer or the fall. So the things you would require, right, as I mentioned, you would need a full-time faculty member, psychology faculty member, who's willing to supervise your thesis, right? You would have that discussion. You would have to submit your official academic transcript, right, with a completed honors application. You would need to have an academic average of 70 or above as an overall average, and then you would need a 75 average or above in psychology courses. And you'd have to maintain these to remain in the program. Now, when you look at the calendar, it sometimes is a little bit confusing because they list these as honors courses, and the honors degree really consists of 3 courses. One of them is an actual course. That's Psych 481, The Origins and Context of Psychological Thought and Practice. You take that in the fall semester uh, after you're admitted into the honors program. The other 2 refer to the thesis, basically the writing of the thesis. So the Psych 4800, the literature review, is the first course you register for, but it's not an actual course. You're not sitting in a classroom. It doesn't happen at a specific time, right? It's just simply 6 credit hours that basically 2 courses worth of work that are kind of allotted for you doing, right, the honors research. And that's the first term, right? Getting a little feedback there. I'm not sure what that was. But that's basically the first term that you would be working on your honors research. And what that would look like and how you would do that would be kind of negotiated with your faculty supervisor, with your research thesis supervisor. And they would be probably doing the background, writing up the background, doing the background research, the lit review, that sort of thing. You do get a grade for that at the end of the first term, which is given to you by your thesis supervisor. Then in second term, you register for 4900, which is basically finishing your honors thesis, right? Finishing up the write-up, leading up to the defense, and then at the defense, after the defense, you defend it, and after the defense, you receive a grade, which is determined by the committee, right? So those are the 2 grades. Those are the 2 things that really kind of constitute each course, right? You're not in a classroom for any of it, but each of those 2 courses are worth 2 courses worth each of 6 hours, and that's how you basically attain the honors degree. The 481 is a separate. It is a course that is required along with doing the honors research. So as I mentioned before, I mentioned that May and September seem to be the more advantageous points to start, even though technically you can start in January, but Psych 481 is only offered in the fall semester, so that would present some difficulties for people starting in January, just logistically. And as I said before, your supervisor will sort of outline the specific requirements for 480 and 490 it's extremely individualized right at that point. Okay, so those are the main things. Now I'm just going to get back to there we go. So yeah, those are the main things that, as far as the structure of the program and getting through the program, I was going to mention. And now I'd like to, just before we move into other faculty, if any questions based on that have come up, or questions you had maybe coming into that anyone might have had coming into today you'd like to ask me or talk about. I'd love to hear that.
I do have a question.
Yeah, please.
So my, I am actually I am not in psychology. I'm actually in my last year of under my current bachelor, but I am somewhat thinking to do a second bachelor, and I'm thinking to do an honor thesis for psychology.
Mm-hmm.
How does that process, and again, how is that process would I want to go by, I think?
So are you finishing one degree now?
I'm currently majoring in political science and economics, and I'm only after this semester only needing 3 courses to graduate.
Okay. And then
then afterwards, my plan is that I will be doing another bachelor, and going into psychology, because ultimately what I'm trying to do, I want to become a clinical psychologist.
Oh, I see.
And I know that that they require a psychology a thesis of psychology.
Right.
So I am wondering, like, if I want to go through that route, like, how should I, as an admits my application to get into the psychology program, should I start the process to the thesis right away, or should I wait later? Because technically, I already have 5 courses in psychology.
Okay.
Like how many credit will be able to transfer and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, have you had any psychology courses so far?
5.
You've had 5. Okay. So you've
5.
had,
Like I had one-on-one, 102. I had it's social psychology. I had the psychology that I forget what it's called, but it's not the one that it's the one that is required to get a minor.
okay.
And then I did a women behavior.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So what that would look, what it sounds like, I mean, without going through your entire degree audit and, I mean, but it sounds like with the end point, as far as getting into clinical psychology, yes, first you would need an honors degree in psychology, and that would mean becoming a major in psychology, right? So you would have to have then 14 courses, right, and kind of go through that process, just like you'd be starting fresh. Except you would have had these 5 courses, which I guess you've taken recently, right? So they would still be.
It's okay. I took in those courses about a couple years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that and I'm thinking, I'm sort of thinking to get a year off once I graduate. So is that going to cause any issue, or do I have at all, or no?
Yeah. No, I don't think that would be an issue. Yeah.
Doesn't. Okay. And how much of my other credits will be transferable?
I'm that's above my pay grade.
Is it above? Okay, fair enough. My last question.
There's someone else waiting to ask a question.
Sorry.
And there's also a question in the chat.
Yeah, I answered that one, I think.
Yeah, but as far as the information being available, right? Yeah, Cheryl did respond to that. Thanks, sir, Cheryl.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was wondering, sorry, I got in a little bit late. So for grad school, like for eligibility to grad school, and that if you're going towards like a PhD route in psychology, would you need to pursue the honors in psychology in order to get into that program if you're looking at that?
Yes, you would. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything?
Yeah, I'm looking at I've already done 2 degrees at UPEI. So this is actually I came back to finish off my courses in psychology. And I want to be able to finish by 2022. So in that case, I'm kind of looking at a supervisor, and I'm going to look into that this summer as to who to talk to, what my focus is, and all those kinds of things. Do you think that's going to be possible in terms of finishing the honors? If I started in September, would I be able to finish by 2022, or would I have to extend it a little bit further?
Well, if you were to start it in this coming September, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's these things are sort of unpredictable as far as finishing degrees, but technically you should be able to, if you started, even if you had an idea working with someone, you could get started in the summer and had
Excellent.
He was kind of willing to start talking about it with you and start doing some preliminary work. I think it's always a good idea to sort of think about these things in the summer, really kind of get going with it in the fall, and then you have basically finishing the write-up in the winter semester.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of what my tentative plan was, but I wasn't sure if it was doable or not. But that's good to hear. Yeah,
that would then your next step would be, having that discussion with a prof who has some, where you have an opportunity to do the work.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm still going to look into that. And I guess most of the meetings now would be online with the professors. Is that right? Booking a meeting online and doing it
Yeah,
virtually?
I would reach out like through email or something like that, and then you could probably. I mean, there are in-person meetings. I mean, it is
Okay.
possible to be able to do that.
Okay.
You know,
Perfect.
I think it's probably a little bit easier. Certainly is my.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be a conversation you could have with that person.
Excellent. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. There was a question in chat here. I'm just looking at that. I'm technically fourth year for this year coming, but I'm taking a reduced course load. So my plan then to apply for honors starting in 2022. Is that okay? Should I be applying for this coming year? Would you recommend honors? What I'm ultimately attending is in the PsyD. Interest is probably ultimately more counseling than research. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, I don't really, as far as whether to start this coming year or to start in 2022, the demand for the program has been fairly high, right? So I'm not really sure. It's hard for us to know who's available to supervise theses. If you feel like you have an opportunity to connect with someone for this coming year, I would certainly pursue that. These are conversations you can kind of work out as far as how many more courses you need and what would that, because you don't want to be taking too many courses in your final honors year, because honors can be a lot of work, especially in the second semester. Yeah, a reduced course load would be pretty much essential for that fourth year, because you'd have honors sitting on top of that. So yeah, I would be, it's a very general kind of response, but that would be my sense as far as that question goes. You can also do the PsyD with a thesis-based master's instead of, right. Well, I mean, I imagine, yes, for most masters, you'd have to have a bachelor's honors degree anyway, usually to get into grad school. But yeah, I think that's Morgan. I think that's true.
Looks like there is a hand up as well from Nirmal.
Hello there, Professor.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just starting my undergrad program this winter semester. So you told us that the psychology 4800 and 4900 are not actually courses. So are they supposed to be done with the supervisor that we reach out to?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Once you meet with the supervisor and you kind of hammer out a research project, depending on what the project is, you would kind of work out, well, this is what we're going to kind of set aside as the 480 or the 4800 part of the course. So it may be a lit review, maybe doing background, maybe those kinds of things would work out, and it would be, there would be no real definite class time, or right. It just
got it.
Yeah, there's no real formal way to sort of operationalize that. That is kind of worked out in your research plan. The same thing for 4900. Yeah.
And so at our third year, we are supposed to reach out to a faculty member. And so when we do our thesis, is it supposed to align with the course that our faculty member has? Let us suppose that we are wanting to write a thesis that doesn't align with any professors that are out there. So what should we do in that case?
Yeah. So if you're interested in an area that doesn't fit with what anyone is doing, is that kind of what you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that case, it might be difficult. I mean, that depending on, do you have? I guess I would then kind of work backwards as far. What's kind of your end point? Like what kind of program, kind of as far as graduate programs, or what will you be looking to do?
I'm not sure right now, but maybe clinical psychologist is in my mind right now.
Okay. Okay. Well,
So, so regarding the supervisor, we are supposed to have our thesis that would align with the course that our faculty member is teaching, right?
yeah, as far as an area of research goes or expertise, yeah, because you won't have to be working with someone who could actually supervise the research, right? You know, that would be
Right.
in a position to do that.
Yeah, that's all, Professor, right now. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay, good questions. Anyone else? I can't quite tell.
I had a quick question, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
I was just wondering what happens if you can't get a professor to take you on. I've contacted about 5 or 6 from the psych department,
Yeah,
and none of them have availability, and I'm currently in 3rd year, so I'm needing to do this next year.
right, right. Yeah, this is one of those things where if people aren't able to take on honors students for, you know, for whatever reason, and there could be a variety of reasons, you know, for that. This is where our demand exceeds our resources. Uh, Sometimes you can kind of, you know, I mean, again, I guess it kind of depends on what the reasons are. If maybe in the following year they might be able to, if there was interest there, they might be able to take you on. You could offer that as an option. If you really need to have it, if you're really hoping to have it started this coming year, it's there really isn't an alternative. I mean, you can't do a thesis without a supervisor, right? Um, so that's yeah. I mean that if all the doors appear to be closed, I'm not sure really what your options would be in that case, except waiting for another year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and that's something that we, as faculty, are thinking a lot about, and I don't have an easy answer for that. It's more, we've seen numbers grow in psychology, right? And the sort of understanding about, well, you know, to continue on, you need an honors degree. So yeah, there is there's difficulties there. If your thesis involves extensive experimental research, can you start the research during the time you're doing a review of the existing literature on your topic? Yes. Well, the thing is, you usually have to go through some kind of ethics review for this kind of research, and that has to be done before you start. Usually, unless circumstances are different, where there's already been maybe prior ethics done on that topic. Um, but yeah, that might be one of the things that would slow you down. That often happens, but it could be possible. Yeah. How long? Yeah, I'm just going to do. How long does it take to get an honors degree? Well, technically, it should be the 2 semesters. We try to fit it into an academic year. Hopefully, there are a number of things that can happen during that, like COVID, for instance, that can happen that can slow things down and pose difficulties. But that's ideally the plan.
Catherine has her hand raised there.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi. Thanks for taking my question. My question, I guess, is I guess the situation I'm in, I'm a mature student in my mid-30s, and I kind of just want to get through this as soon as I can so I can, you know, get on the road to my career. I'm in my third year. I'm hoping to be finished up my undergrad next spring with full course load throughout the entire year. So I'm assuming, like I understand that the honors requirements go on top of the course load. So would you say that it would be a possibility or even a good idea to just go ahead and graduate with the BA and then come and do the honors conversion that you were talking about before applying to master's or graduate programs?
So you'd be looking at, for your fourth year, you'd be having like 5 courses. I mean, how many courses would you be looking at in your final year?
I do 4 in the fall, 4 in the winter, and then 2 in the spring and summer. So I do 5, like 10 throughout the entire year.
Right, right. Yes,
But yeah.
Yeah, honors would be too much, I believe, on top of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I can come back and just do the honors requirement after the fact.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I had a question about the actual like applying, or like I guess like through like my UPEI, when you actually like put the courses on your schedule, do you need any like proof that you're actually doing an honors, or can you just like put it on your schedule and then kind of figure that out later? Like I just don't want to not get accepted into the course because I didn't like do my application right away or something.
Yeah, actually, to get into, have it like part of your schedule, you have to be approved to get into the program first. So you wouldn't be, I don't believe you were able to add that without having applied, and then approval going through, and then the registrar then approves you to be able to enroll in those courses.
Okay, so you do need to apply and like get approved before you can actually like register for the course.
That's correct. Yeah, and
Okay.
it's for the 481 as well. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'm starting my honors in September. When should I submit my application?
Well, that would be, something that, have you had any discussions with a supervisor or someone who's interested in supervising you?
Yeah, I have a supervisor already. I'm already doing some research and stuff like that. I just wanted to like get that application, like that ball rolling. I just know there's only like a certain amount of seats in your course for the first semester, so I just wouldn't want to like not be able to get in.
Oh, yeah, no, as far as that goes, as far as the number of seats goes, whoever gets into the program gets into the course. It isn't like it's going to get capped and you're not going to get in.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's
Yeah.
a relief.
Yeah, no, there wouldn't be any worries about that. As far as applying, filling out the application and applying to the program, ask your supervisor about that and see what they think. I mean, as far as it sounds like you've already kind of actually started doing some of the work. And so you've already kind of you're kind of already on track. So, I mean, as far as meeting all of the requirements, you can apply for September, have that application approved, and then you're good to go for registering for all the courses.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Let's see. We've covered the chat questions. Anyone else? Jacob. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had some problems with my mic. I wasn't sure, but I just wanted to ask you about like what the options are as far as like co-supervision is. So my interest is industrial organizational psychology. So for those who don't know, it's like basically workplace psychology, so specialized HR. So right now I'm working on directed study with Dr. Blake Jelly and Dr. Woodley. And I was wondering if like come September, I wanted to work on another project, and Dr. Blake Jelly was going to be like willing to supervise me from the business department. Could we find like a co-supervisor from the psychology department to make sure we're meeting like psych requirements for honors thesis when it's kind of like psych business work?
So would you be looking at a psychology honors degree? Is that?
Yeah, sorry. So I'm doing a Bachelor of Arts as a major in psychology.
Okay.
So I'd be looking at a psychology honors.
Right. Yes. So you're right. Yeah. It's great that Dr. Jelly is working on that with you. Yeah, but you would need a full-time psychology faculty member to basically sign the application for the honors the honors application that would get you into the program, and then Dr. Jelly and your psychology supervisor can then kind of work out, how the thesis is written up and kind of the the research side of it. But yeah, do you have someone in psychology that you've been in contact with about the project?
Well, I was talking with Stacy McKinnon, and the directed study was originally going to be myself, Hayden Woodley, and then Stacy McKinnon was going to be supervising UPEI, because I don't know if you know Hayden at all, he moved to London. He just has adjunct stats at UPEI, and he was my original supervisor. So now Blake is my UPEI supervisor because I needed one due to the fact that Hayden is only adjunct stats at UPEI. So it was originally going to be Stacy, but she fell under some health concerns.
Yeah.
And that was just in I think December that she pulled out of working with us. So then we kind of last minute jumped on with Blake and started the directed study in January. So it was going to be like a directed studies psych class, but now I'm in a directed studies business course because of Blake's status as a professor at UPEI.
I see. Right. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
To answer your question though, because Stacy is unavailable to work right now, I don't have a psych professor to be that co-supervisor at the moment.
Right.
So I'll have to look into that, but anyway.
Right. Okay. But you're aware of what it would involve, so that's good.
So if I was going to start in September, I haven't applied to the honors program yet. So I saw the May 1st date, and in my mind at first I was like, okay, does that mean that's the date you need to apply to start in September, or what's the date for that?
Yeah, I mean those are just two different options. I think majority of people apply for September. I think unofficially, I mean, you've already done this too. You've already done some kind of background work. So because I mean, really, in practical terms, to have a start date for September when you apply to the program, you would have already had conversations and done enough kind of background, kind of research in order to formulate an honors application to begin with, right? So I think that's what generally happens. So people do kind of some preliminary background work and formulating enough to write up, an honors application. They apply kind of formally to get into Site 480 in the fall, and that's when they, officially enter the program.
So there's no real hard deadline for application to start September 1st, or is it by the end of July you should have applied, or you should apply by May? Or?
Well, we wouldn't be sitting down as a faculty reviewing applications and making decisions about who gets in until September 1st, right? As far as that goes, there are some people who, for various reasons, want to start in May, and we, as a department, sit down and look at people who are submitting for the May 1st deadline. But once May 1st passes, then you're basically, simply looking at doing some preliminary or background sort of work in order to have an application ready for September.
So I apologize if this will probably be the last question. I just want to nail this down. So the September, you guys are taking applications and you look at them all at September 1st. Does that mean, I think classes probably start on September 6th or 5th or 6th. Does that mean that that's when I wouldn't find out that I got into the honors program until, if you guys don't start reviewing until September 1st, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or would it pretty much be because I have my supervisor, we're lined up, I can pretty much register for those 4,800, 4,900 classes, and we're just waiting for that little stamp of approval?
Yes, that's basically it. I mean, if you have a psychology professor who's willing to supervise your project and is going to sign off on your application, and if you met the grade criteria and you've got the other courses, then that's really you're pretty much going to get into the program unless there's some other problem with the application.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be what you'd be looking at. There's no, I mean, it's really just more of a bureaucratic sort of thing, honestly. I mean, when you get to the September point, you just have to make sure everything's properly, your applications and looks good and your grades are there and all that is in place. So that's what that is. But I mean, you can continue, you can start working on, you know, your thesis as soon as you and your supervisor really have an arrangement and have a kind of an idea about what you're going to be doing.
Right. Okay, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Certainly. There's a question in the chat window. Dimitro, what is the predominant kind of research for psych honors at UPEI? Hermeneutics-based research and meta-analysis acceptable for honors? Does it require ethics application? Well, we do some unethical interpretations. Anytime you're working with subjects, right, you're going to need an ethics application. Right? So, but if you're looking at something in philosophical hermeneutics or something in that more kind of history theory area, no, that isn't an ethical application. There's nothing like that necessary there. But the predominant kind of research is working with human subjects, right? And some kind of, sometimes it's experimental, sometimes it's correlational, right? It depends. But generally, as far as the kind of research, it would fall more in. There's a fair bit of qualitative research here. There are a number of people who do qualitative work. There's a number of people who do a mix of qualitative and quantitative. Some people just do more quantitative work. But that's, yeah, there's a lot of variety. For a small department, we do have a lot of variety, actually.
Thank you.
Do you foresee any challenges related to the pandemic with completing honors thesis? Well, yeah, some experience might be hard to conduct. Yes, exactly, and hard to predict. Yes, that is an excellent point. I mean, the ability to access subjects and to do that kind of work is definitely been affected. And yes, that's a big question right now. You know, we're hoping by April we'll have a bubble, you know, and things will start to loosen up a little bit, but we don't really know. I know even access to library materials and getting interlibrary loans, for instance, has been affected by the pandemic. Yeah, let's see, who else has a question? One thing we might do then is look at having some of our other faculty that are present here, maybe say just a little bit about the work that they do, and you know, just kind of maybe some examples of past honors projects they have done. That would be, and I can start with that. Really, as I'm sort of looking at who else is here from the faculty. Mainly the stuff that I mainly do is historical theoretical research in psychology. So that means looking at past practices and concepts and putting those things into historical and theoretical cultural context. So I've done a variety of things like that in the past. I think I saw Jacqueline on here at some point. She's my current honors student. We're looking at the early history of what we might think of as psychotherapy before that term was ever applied, and the early late 19th, early 20th century forms of treatment that were out there, and the variety of things like that were out there, and gives us a different way of conceptualizing current practice when you put these things into this sort of historical context. Jessica, I see you're there. Do you have anything you could share?
Sure. So I am pretty new to the honors program. I actually have not taken any students yet because I have been I'm in my second year right now on the faculty. So this coming fall, I'm taking a couple of students, and so I'm a clinical psychologist by training, and my specialty is working with older adults in geriatrics. Um, so my research is broad in that sense, in that I really do a lot of projects related to aging. So some of the things that I am interested in are how cognition changes with age. So doing sort of cognitive testing and neuropsychological testing, both in normal, sort of healthy community dwelling older adults, as well as how different types of dementia develop. Um, and another thing that I'm really interested in as a clinical psychologist is different interventions and settings where older adults are living. So a couple of projects that I have going on right now. So I'm going to be supervising one of the PsyD dissertations. And that project is looking at an acceptance and commitment therapy group intervention for older adults living in community care on PEI. The couple honors students that I have that'll be starting this year are interested in sort of physical functioning and frailty. And so that honors project is going to be looped in with the dissertation. So looking at older adults' physical functioning and independence of functioning and frailty who are living in those community care facilities. And the other student is interested in sort of access to services and barriers to services. And so again, that honors project will be tied into to another project that I'm working on with a larger group. So that's sort of how I'm envisioning honors projects that I supervise moving forward, being I have a lot of projects going on all the time because I get excited about pretty much anything related to aging. So the honors students that I foresee working with, I would tie, their interest areas onto sort of an existing project that I have going on. I'm also pretty exclusively a quantitative researcher. I'm not even going to talk about what I've done qualitatively because I would embarrass myself and all the other wonderful qualitative researchers in our department. But I teach the advanced stats class, 3710 in the department. And that's something that I generally expect that honors students who might want to work with me have taken, is that advanced statistics course. Yeah, I think that I have a number of students who are volunteering on things right now, and that has been really nice to get to know students a little bit better before going into an honors relationship, but and supervising projects. But I'm not, for now, being such an early new honors supervisor, that makes me a little bit more comfortable having a really good sense of someone's work style and ethic, and having a prior relationship with them feels more comfortable to me. I'm not really sure how that'll change for me over the years, but that's where I am with it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jessica. That's great. You raised a couple of really good points, and I think one of the questions actually speaks to this, which is depending on what kind of honors research you want to do, you want to think about what kind of courses you want to take as an undergrad leading up to doing that kind of research. So, so something like advanced stats would be really necessary for certain certain profs would be wanting to have that. If you're doing something maybe in the neurosciences, you have to have those kinds of courses, and which really feeds into the next point, which Jessica also mentioned, which is that this is really a relationship. I mean, it's a one-on-one supervisor-student relationship. It's a mentoring relationship, and it's something that you gain lots of different things, not just the degree, but the experience, how to write academically, how to do things like ethics, and just the whole process that's involved in research for people who are going into graduate school. It's absolutely essential and so foundational, I would say, really to everything else you're going to do maybe in your graduate career. So yes, those 2 points, thinking about the kind of courses you might want to have to support you in the honors application, and then also developing that relationship with a prof through taking those courses and finding out about what they're doing, and kind of leading up to like I've had students where an honors project really kind of grew out of something we had done in an earlier course. So that certainly happens.
Yeah, I've also had a couple of students do directed studies with me this year. And those have been really, for again, as a new person to the department, those have been really great opportunities to sort of explore some of those relationships. I know I have been talking with students about kind of who have done directed studies. Okay, could this turn into an honors down the line at some point? Yeah.
A couple of questions in the chat there I wanted to also address. Having a hard time finding a supervisor. Is there a list of profs who are available to take students? I wish there was. I wish we could do something like that. And I'm thinking hard. One of the things that we're thinking about as the department, some of the changes we're going to be making to the honors program. I'm not sure exactly what they are, but certainly having that information more available if we can in some way is going to be a big part of what